Hi, and welcome to Living in Central Texas. If you are considering on relocating to the Central Texas area, Temple, Belton, Salado, or any of the beautiful neighboring areas, and you're sort of curious on where to start, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Andrea Dudick, Realtor and Associate Broker with Vista Real Estate, and today I'll be walking you through everything you need to know if you're looking to move here. Before you start looking at a ton of homes online or before you book a flight to come down here and visit, let's have a call. If we talk first, I'll be able to really get a good sense of your overall timeline, budget, lifestyle, and what truly matters to you. This can save you a lot of stress, unnecessary, wasted time, and get you going in the right direction. So number 2 is going to be narrowing down the area that's right for you. It's a lot more than just finding the perfect house, but relocating is really about choosing the right area that fits your lifestyle, commute, and long-term goals. Central Texas is really interesting because each area really has its own personality. So for Temple, we know that Temple has a growing job market, great hospitals, and new construction developments. There are a lot of communities within Temple. I recently did a video on comparing Temple, Belton, Salado specifically, and we find that majority of the houses actually fall within Temple. But then you can also be part of the Belton school district while also living in Temple. So by having that call and finding out your motivation, I'll actually help you narrow down which areas, especially if it's school district related there. Belton really gives you that small town vibe, very charming, historic feel in some areas. You also get lake living in other areas of Belton, closer to Morgan's Point, which I really love. I also did a full video on Morgan's Point if you want to go take a look there. There are fewer homes technically in Belton, but Temple and Belton, there's a ton of overlap. City of Belton, Belton ISD, City of Belton, Belton ISD. So I wouldn't get too hung up there, and I actually think that you'll probably end up looking in both areas if you like one or the other. Salado is going to feel a little more artsy, a little more upscale. Houses are a little bit more expensive price per square foot. You get larger lots. It's a golf course area community, so you see a lot of people riding around on golf carts. And there's not as much shopping or dining in that area, but really you're 20 minutes out from Temple, Belton, so not too far away from any amenities, especially if you're used to traveling at all in bigger areas. So once we have that call and we help you narrow down which area you want to be in, I'll set you up on the MLS, which is the multiple listing service. That's what we as agents organize your search parameters with, and it helps us get very, very specific on what you're looking for. We can make that kind of broad at first and narrow that down, but Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, all of those third-party sites actually pull information from the MLS, and so the MLS is going to be the most accurate source for finding your ideal home. Once we get you set up on there, we can I'll be able to check in on you to see if we need to revise that search criteria at all, and then potentially even look at some houses even if you're not here. Number 3, we're going to talk resale versus new construction. You can narrow that down before or after we set up your MLS search. But this is something to really have a good conversation about initially. And you might not know which one you want just yet, because quite honestly, there are a lot of pros and cons for both. There is a ton of inventory in our market right now. And so we're seeing a few things. Of course, this is subject to change based on any given day and I guess time that you watch this video, but because there's so much inventory, again, we are really in that buyer's market. A lot of these builders are offering insanely great incentives. So incentives being things like offering money towards your closing costs, towards a rate buy down, since interest rates are on the higher end of what we've seen, well, not even historically, just on the higher end of what we've seen as of late. And we might get blinds, fridge, washer, dryer, design allowances, things of that nature. So if you're considering new construction, you may get a steal in getting a brand new construction home. Generally those incentives are for spec homes, which are homes that have already been started. You're really not going to get those sort of incentives if you're looking to do a custom build or, working with one of those, what we call production builders, those bigger builders, and going, start to finish. Those incentives are generally with those already started homes and inventory already on the ground. Not saying that you won't get any, but they're just going to be better with those homes. So new construction, not only do you get obviously a brand new home, but those builders are generally going to include warranties. So depending on the builder, they will often include things like a 1-year general builder warranty, which is kind of like a bumper to bumper warranty. If anything happens in that first year, you file a warranty claim and they get that fixed for you. Most or a large portion of the builders will also include a 2-year major systems warranty, which is your HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. Texas is hot. So if on, year 1.5, your HVAC system goes out, you've got a warranty to cover that. Again, all those major systems. And then just depending, you'll either get a 10-year or I believe a 6-year foundation warranty. It was historically a 10-year foundation warranty, but the state of Texas just changed it to, I believe, a 6-year. It's either 6 or 7, but I'm pretty sure it's a 6-year foundation warranty. So really great there, especially if, you're worried about maintenance. That can alleviate a lot of those concerns. Resale are really great too. You may have a lot of negotiation power there, especially because the sellers are competing with new construction and the incentives that they are offering. A lot of resale inventory in our market as well. Resale homes often sit in more established neighborhoods. So if big trees and inviting in established communities is a priority to you, I'll often get people that say, I don't want a brand new community. I want a community that's been lived on for a minute and has a really established neighborhood. Maybe that's the direction that you want to go there. And sometimes those more established homes have more character. They don't feel so cookie cutter, and I'm not even saying that that's always the case with new construction, because what you'll find in Texas is a lot of these builders really do try to really hop on design trends and make every home beautiful, but you know what I mean. So you may already know if you want new construction or resale when we have that phone call and we're able to set you up on the MLS and search parameters based on that. If you don't know, we can just leave it kind of vague so you can see inventory for both. The next big thing is getting pre-qualified. I like to have this call first because, for a couple reasons. If you get pre-qualified, getting pre-qualified is going to mean speaking with the lender and seeing how much house you can afford. And so before you go looking at houses that are $500,000, maybe a lender tells you you're pre-approved for $600,000 and now you've opened up your window and you're excited about looking at things in a little bit higher price point. Or alternatively, maybe, debt to income wise or situationally, maybe the lender says based on parameters, you can only afford a $300,000 house. That is going to shift, obviously, which homes you look at. And one of the worst things you can do is fall in love with a house and then find out that you can't afford it, or miss out on a beautiful home that you can't afford that you didn't know you could afford. Now, getting pre-approved is a generally pretty quick and simple process. It's not getting that full stamp of financing approval. It's really just that initial approval so we can get started in that home search. If we submit any offers, or if you submit any offers, a seller is going to want to see that pre-approval letter. Definitely do that before you start looking at homes. Now, do that after, in my opinion, speaking with a realtor. A second reason for that is because you always want to use a local lender. I have some nightmare stories about people that did not use local lenders. And generally that falls around the sense that, perfect example, while our home prices are slightly lower than other areas, if not a lot lower than some other areas, our property taxes are higher than a lot of places. And so if you have a lender that is not local, they can make the mistake of qualifying you based off of a different property tax rate. What that basically means is your monthly payment is going to look a lot different if they estimate property taxes at a 2.3 rate versus a 0.7 rate. Well, that's hundreds of dollars a month in your monthly payment, which changes how much you can afford. So you always want to do a local lender because they know our local market. If I find out that, for example, you want to go the direction of a new construction home, that might change the lender that I have you speak with, or that I encourage you to speak with, because a lot of these builders provide additional incentives for using their preferred lender. So let's have that call and let's see which direction you need to go, but definitely the direction of getting pre-approved regardless. Lastly, you want to know the process before you move. It can be very exciting, but also very scary, relocating somewhere you haven't been to before, or maybe you have been here before and you're just coming back. But in general, the process can be strenuous and a lot. So I really think it's important to know the full process before you move here. When we have a call, I'll walk you through everything. So in addition to knowing what house you're looking for and your overall circumstance and motivations, I'll walk you through the full home buying process. If you can't get here, we'll discuss what virtual tours look like and setting up time to do that. We'll discuss the financing pieces of purchasing. We'll discuss what happens when we submit an offer. How much money should you anticipate having up front for earnest and option money? Do you know what those things are? We'll talk inspections and just really everything from start to finish to make sure that you are so comfortable and so excited about your move here. Moving doesn't have to be overwhelming, and I would really love to help simplify the process. If you would like to book a free, friendly, low-pressure call, you can find all my contact information below. If you are not quite ready to book that call, you can download my free relocation guide. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you would like more tips on moving to the Central Texas area. Till next time.